The year is 2015. Quite an interesting year, not just because we had a very rare solar eclipse, and not because a tiny little company called OpenAI was founded. I mean, I don't think they'll amount to anything, do you? It wasn't because of the game releases from 2015. Fallout 4, Witcher 3, Bloodborne, Mario Party 10.
Huh?
No, it was interesting because somewhere up in Yorkshire, a bloke from Donny got a little bit cross about his lunch. And surprisingly, this made the news.
You worried about being arrested?
What happened back in the spring cost Jeremy Clarkson his job, cost the BBC its most lucrative star.
The full details of the settlement are confidential, but both Clarkson and the corporation contributed.
The level of the payout is probably influenced by the violence involved, which is highly unusual in any employment situation.
What, did he punch a producer? They pulled the show?
And the producer guy was fucking with him. And Jeremy fucking whacked the guy. And I'm like, I wanted to fucking punch that guy a couple times too.
Cancel the show.
And like that, Top Gear as we knew it was dead. Or was it?
Guess who's back? Signed a deal for a new motoring program with Amazon.
So the three reconnected and headed over to Amazon. Now, you might be wondering, why is any of this relevant to GTA? And do you know what? That's not a bad question. It's a very fair question. And the answer lies in what happened when they moved to Amazon. So when they moved to Amazon, they got access to Jeff Bezos' very, very deep pockets. So what did they do? Well, they brought these three together. For the first time ever, a car show managed to get the Holy Trinity on track at the same time. The LaFerrari, the Porsche 918, and the McLaren P1. Now, each of these has an equivalent within the game. So what I thought would be interesting would be to get them all on track in the game at the same time and see which one is the best through a series of tests. Very well designed tests, or so I thought. So we're going to score these things on how good a replica they are, how good they are to drive, how good looking they are. Then we're going to race the shit out of them. And at the end, we'll come back with a definitive version of what's best. So we start with the T20. Replica score, 7 out of 10. The back end's really good. It's got the active aero, but the front end, no. Not a big fan of that. Moving on to the Fister. Now the replica score here is a solid 5 out of 10. You can kind of tell what it is, but it really doesn't look that much like the 918, and it's not even pretty in its own right. Which you can't say about the Grotti Turismo. Yes, it doesn't look massively like the LaFerrari. If anything, the Imaggio is a better replica of the LaFerrari. But even though it looks a little bit different, it is what it's supposed to be based on, and it is a really pretty car in its own right. So I'm only giving that an 8. So at this point, I've got the Grotti in the lead. So how are we going to test this? Well, it's got to be a drag race. So for all of these races, I'm in the Grotti, Hippy is in the McLaren, or the Pro Gen should I say, and Rhino is in the Porsche. And that wasn't that decisive, so let's go again. And it's pretty much the same result. These things are so evenly matched, apart from at the top end. You can see the Porsche has got it at the top end, but the McLaren and the Ferrari, they're pretty much identical. It's all down to who gets the best start. So that's not going to work. We can't really do much with the drag race. I suppose we can give the Porsche a win for the drag race because it's got it at the top end. It's always going to come out slightly in front of the other. So score so far, 1 to the Grotti, 1 to the Porsche. Right, let's get it on the track and see which of these is the best to drive. Okay, we'll chalk that up as a racing incident, because you know what this game's like. So what we're going to do, we're going to go for a Le Mans start. So we're going to race across without shooting each other, jump in the car, and then get off and do a lap. Now the problem is, all this highlights is that when you get these three on a track, there's very little to choose between them. As I've already said, the Porsche has got it at the top end, or should I say the Fiesta. The Fiesta's got it at the top end. But other than that, the handling on the Grotti and the ProGen is so good, they will easily catch up with the Porsche around the twisty stuff, and then the Porsche will lose them on the straights again. So across a whole lap, these things are so close. I guess it's really down to which one you like the look of. And just to prove my point, how about this for a finish? So yeah, over a full lap of Dunsfold, over a full lap of the Top Gear track, there's only a few feet in it. So it really is down to which one you like the look of, or which one you like the drive of. I really like the T20. I think it has good handling, but slightly more aggressive handling. The Grotti, the Turismo, is a little bit sanitised for my liking, whereas the Fiesta has it at the top end. So I think there's only one thing for it. I think we have to drag these three onto my lap of the map, because they're one each at the moment. They've got one win each. So I think let's take them round the lap and decide once and for all which of these is the best. And off we go with a triple lap of the map. We've got the Fiesta 811 in the top left, the ProGen T20 in the top right, and the Grotti Turismo are in the bottom centre. And the first thing we're going to do, I think, is a bit of a sound check. Let's have a look at what each of these sounds like. Not bad, but a little bit generic for my liking. Let's have a listen to the Grotti. Much better, a bit deeper, a bit more purposeful. And then there's the ProGen with a bit more of a screamer. It's a bit more of a screamer. I'll be honest, it's tight between the Grotti and the ProGen. I think I'm going to slightly give this one to the Grotti. The 811, a bit too generic, sounds a bit like a washing machine. But now, let's have a look how these things go on the map. And as you can see, as we come here, through the city section, they're basically within a few feet of each other. Again, that's how close these three cars are. Now, we've already said that the Fiesta's got it at the top end, so I'm expecting it to pull out a decent lead on the straight stuff. And it needs that lead on the straight stuff, because on the twisty stuff, of all three of these cars, this is the one that's going to try and kill you the most. You have to go way beyond lively to describe how the handling is on the Fiesta. You can even see it on the tighter turns on the freeway. It even tries to step out on some of those, whereas the other two are much more planted. Now, it could well be that they only feel much more planted because they're a damn sight slower. That could be the case. But handling across all three of them, Fiesta is definitely way, way, way behind. It's not bad, it is usable, but it's a lot more spiky than the other two. As I say, the Grotti is probably a little bit too sanitised for my taste, but it still has really, really nice handling, whereas the T20 is a good balance between the two. It's a little bit more spiky, but it's not as uncontrollable as the Fiesta. And as you can see, as we approach the tunnel, considering they were all identical and they joined the freeway, there's a pretty significant gap now, with the Grotti pulling up the rear. So what we'll do now, let's just fast forward round to the top speed test. And here we go, let's measure the top speed for all three of them. So we've brought them all back together again, so we can see what the timings are. And obviously the Fiesta is going to smash this one. But what will be interesting will be how close the Grotti and the ProGen are. So we're just coming up to the finish line. This is just under this sign under here, so obviously the Fister's going to take it first. What have we got on the Fister? We've got 124, and yeah, as I thought, there's less than 1/10 of a second between the Grotti and the ProGen. These two are just so ridiculously evenly matched. It's not even funny. So how do I turn this into some sort of recommendation? Well, that's the thing, I don't know how to turn this into some sort of a recommendation. Actually, they're all brilliant, just like the original cars, like the original Holy Trinity. They sort of set a new standard for what hypercars could do, and these brought this into the game. The Grotti Turismo was pretty much the first of the really top end cars you can get. I think that's the only one of these three that you could get in story mode, I believe. There are a couple of ways to get your hands on this in story mode for a short amount of time. Could be wrong on that. So which one do you buy? I guess it depends. Are you a Ferrari person, a Porsche person, or a McLaren one? It's all down to the looks and the drive. If you have to compare the three, the Porsche is the Fister 811 is clearly the fastest by quite a long way, actually. The McLaren, I think, has the best balance of speed and handling. So in terms of all around performance, if I'm going to pick one to go out for a drive, I'm probably going to pick the McLaren. It's also cool that it's the only one that has active aero. In real life, both the McLaren and the Ferrari should have active aero, but in the game the McLaren's the only one that's got it. But if I'm going on pure looks, it's got to be the Grotti. Yes, it's not a great replica of the LaFerrari, but it's a fabulous looking bit of kit. And these are all relatively cheap by modern day standards. They're not on offer the week I'm doing this video, because we haven't had good offers for quite a while. That's why I wanted to do something a little bit different for you. So which is it going to be? If it's for racing, it's the 811. If it's for cruising around the streets, or for racing on the street, should I say, it's probably the T20. But if it's just for posing at the casino, it's got to be the Grotti. So let's have a look at some of these times as we come across the last couple of bridges. As you can see, the Fister's already going over the bridge, with the other two lagging way behind. Now, considering, you've got to remember, is when these three entered the freeway, they were within about 6 feet of each other. They basically hit that corner, that last corner before you go down the ramp, at the exact same time. And the Fister is already nearing the end of the final bridge, and the other two are only just starting it. So there's a massive advantage that this has pulled out over the freeway. So what have we got time wise on the Fister? We've got an 8:07. Now that is a quick time for a non-HSW car, and quite an old one. That is a quick time. And for the others, we've got the T20 just takes it by about a second. So again, 8:31 and 8:34. So you've got 3 seconds over an 8.5 minute lap. You've got a difference of 3 seconds between the Grotti and the ProGen. So that's, yeah, they are so evenly matched. Honestly, whichever one you want, you're going to love all of them. But for my money, if I had to pick one favourite, I'm going with the McLaren. I just love McLarens. So it's the ProGen T20 for me, but you won't be unhappy with any of these. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and before you go, I am so sorry I have not done anywhere near enough videos recently. I've had some decent ideas now, so I'm back into editing. I've got some videos coming up from where I've been having my gaming holiday, shall we say. So I look forward to seeing you all over the next coming days and weeks. Take care of yourselves.